Assalamualaikum. My name is Faiqah Farzana binti Muhammad Safarwi. My matric number is 1201070. So today I'm going to present my assignment 1 of Quran Sunnah and Built Environment. In this assignment, we are required to do a case study by evaluating our house, whether it fulfills the principles of total planning theory based on Al-Fatihah. This is the floor plan of my house. It is basically a two-story house, consists of 5 bedrooms, a living room, 2 living hall, home office, and also the kitchen. So my house actually have 2 main entrance. Usually the outside the guests will enter the house to the living room, and the close relative usually will go to the family hall. There is also a home office where usually my father will do his work. The first one is the relationship between man and the creator. And the first principle of this relationship is a respect for knowledge and conscious of the creator. City as a center of learning and civilization. There are praying area in every room for the occupant of the house to pray or recite Al-Quran. And there is a specific area for the family to pray jama'ah, recite and memorize Al-Quran at the corner of the living room together. In every room, at least we have a table with chair and a shelf of book that the occupant can have a convenient place to study to increase our knowledge, as the creator loves the one who are knowledgeable. Next one is neighborhood unit based on educational institution. There are several educational institutions located in my neighborhood area, such as the kindergarten and SK Kopau, the primary school. So the people in my area are exposed about the education, and it helps the people to learn and increase their knowledge, as well as to build a good relationship with the creator. Next up is the conservation of the environment. So my house is surrounded by the greenery sceneries, and there is also a gardening area beside the house. So it will keep us near to the nature that is given by Allah, and to earn benefit from them, as it shows how grateful we are to Allah, how we make full use of them. Number 4 is to translate the glory of the Creator through physical manifestation. The beautiful quote of the name of Allah and the Prophet Muhammad is hung up on the wall in the family hall, as well as Ayatul Kursi is also hung up at the praying area in the living room. So it always reminds us to remember Allah every time we see them. The next principle is justice. Activities and elements are at the rightful and appropriate place. So room 2 is not that appropriate to be placed there, since there is no window, so the air cannot circulate well there. But as for room 3, it is good to be placed close to the living room, since it is a guest room, so they did not have to go to the private area of the house that makes the owner or themselves feel uncomfortable. Formulation of policies and monitoring facilitating development that are just. So we are having a curfew that we have to come back home before Maghrib, and we can only come back late with permission, and usually when we are going out with the parents. As my parents give the essential, such as Wi-Fi to access to the internet, and we have to have the integrity to keep the promise to only use it for the good things or for our studies, and not to waste our time. So next is the balanced and equitable distribution of development. There are educational institutions from different levels, such as the kindergarten, primary school, secondary school in the neighborhood area that is convenient and sufficient enough for the students in the neighborhood area. And there is also Masjid Mukim that is spacious enough to hold the people in the area to perform Solat Jama'ah and other Solat Fardu. Next is provision of facilities to at least meet the minimum standard. all the educational institutions are big enough for the population of the student in the area, but somehow the road to go to the primary school is pothos and did not meet the minimum standard. It is hard for the students and also the parents to use the road. And Masjid Mukim is big and ample enough for the resident in the area to perform solat there. The next principle is compassion. All planning and development decision and action consider effect to the individual, society and environment. The housing area with good facilities assessment is needed so the resident in Rantau Panjang can live with a good environment. The next one is the planning and design of buildings should produce art and beauty with a high aesthetic value while reflecting religious and cultural heritage. The house in the neighborhood area are mostly the Melayu common kampung houses, so it is actually keep the Melayu cultural wooden house heritage. Next is the provision of facilities beyond minimum standard. There is most around the neighborhood for the resident, mostly the old citizens, to mingle around to each other that give a good environment for their spiritual aspect. The village is surrounded by the greenery sceneries that make the resident feel calm. The next principle is trustworthy and credibility. The first one is planning must be based on actual facts. The house is facing the busy road, so it is very hot during the afternoon, but since the prevailing wind comes from the east, so it makes the occupant feel a bit comfortable since there are openings facing the east. Second, to give individual his right without infringing on the interests of the society. There are really a tight gap between my house and my neighbor's house, beside and at the back. It is not really comfortable to be that close to each other. The next one is listening and accepting public opinion if it leads to a better living environment. We agreed not to do the open burning in our houses area as the smoke will circulate to all our houses if we did that. And the next principle is unity. It is to provide development that enhance interaction. There are 2 family halls for the occupant in the house to interact closer. Usually my siblings and my parents will go to the family hall at the ground floor to watch TV together, to eat snack together, and at that time we interact with each other more. And I think my house is lacking from using writing, symbol, images or other elements that reflect unity. So the next one is the relationship between the man and the environment. The first principle is cleanliness and beauty. We have scheduled to sweep the dried leaf, to trim the grass, to sweep the car porch to keep our house compound clean as well as inside of the house. We also throw the domestic garbage regularly at the main dustbin located near to our house as to keep our surrounding clean, neat and tidy as it is a part of Iman. The next principle is economic and effective use of resources. We make full use of plant resources that my mother plant outside of the house such as chilies, curry leaf and bayam Brazil as a daily vegetation supply. And the last principle for this relationship is the preservation of the environment and sustainable natural resources. We preserve natural resources around our house such as coconut trees and java apples, jambu eye trees by not cutting them as they give us fruit supply and as shading devices for us. The last one is the relationship between man and man. And the first principle is respecting privacy and division of space. Master bedroom is located at the upper floor, so it is a bit far from the public space, which is the living room, where the outsiders guests usually will sit, so it will not be awkward. The next one, the kitchen as a semi-private part of the house is located at the back, so my mother will be comfortable to prepare the food for the guests that come since the kitchen is a bit hidden. Next principle is the value of encouraging interaction and acquaintance. There are coffee shops, kedai kopi for the old villagers to sit together and talk to one another about the current issue. This activity actually encouraged interaction between them. Masjid Mukim in my neighborhood area usually conduct quite a lot of events before the COVID-19, such as gotong royong, majlis berbuka puasa, majlis ceramah agama, also blood donation campaign that help the resident in the area to interact more to each other. Next part is the peace and security. Since my house is at the village area, we did not have gate. It makes the relationship with the neighbor closer but somehow compromising the security. Next principle is respecting the right of the individual. The neighbor renovate their house and build a space of their house that actually blocking our road to go to the porch, and it makes the gap between our house even tighter. Cooperation, sensitivity and mutual respect. The villagers always help each other, especially when one of us is having kenduri. We will all together help during the preparation for the ceremony. And for the consultation principle, in my family, we will always have a discussion about the problems we are facing. My parents did not want us to keep it to ourselves since it is not good for our mental health. So we can solve the matters together, whether regarding our studies or whatnot. For the relationship between man and the creator, my house did get 13/16. For man and environment, my house did get 3/3. And for man and man, we got 4/6. The main purpose of evaluating the house is to check and ensure that our house is actually parallel with the guideline of total planning theory based on the purpose of Al-Fatihah, and to ensure that the house that we live in is abiding Allah's rule and the concept of total planning doctrine, TPD, including the man and creator relationship. Based on the concept of TPD, my house is 13/16 following the concept. The word Rob from Al-Fatihah define the relationship between the creator and man. Allah set rule for man that needs to be followed, so that our lives are guided. But getting a quite concerning mark reflect that there are still some of his rule that we neglect. The next one is the man and environment. The relationship between man and environment come from the word Malik in Surah Al-Fatihah. To be able to become a supreme ruler, one have to have a territory to rule, so he will be needing a place where all people will obey him. So my house secured 3/3 for this relationship, meaning that my house keep the right of the environment. We did not make harm of the environment but make full use of the nature given by Allah. And the last one is man and man. My house get 4/6 of the aspect of this relationship. This relationship encompass the social aspect between human and human, about their manner, about their interaction and so on. It come from ma'bud, the word na'budu from Al-Fatihah. We are the slave that worship Allah, so does people around us, so does the society. That's why it is important for us to foster a good relationship with them between the Jama'ah, so we can all together build an environment that fully abide Allah's rule. We only can contribute to Dinul Islam and Madinah when our house fulfill all the principles of the relationship in this TPD. Since my house is lacking in several aspects from the man and creator relationship and also the man and man relationship, so there will be a turning point for me and the family to improve our house so that we can contribute to Dinul Islam and also the Madinah. In conclusion, I could say that when every household try to evaluate their house using this TPD and try to improve what is lacking, only then we can all together contribute to build Madinah, which is a city that is fully submission to God. Now, it's time to bring this presentation to a close. Thank you for your kind attention and listening. Alhamdulillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi